Some breaking news today on this fine Monday afternoon. Jeremiah Fears is reclassifying and also decommitting from Illinois, or reopening his recruitment is probably how we should actually term this. This, I believe, was broken by Kedrick Prince with Illini guys. I don't know that for sure, but that's the first spot that I saw. Is that who broke this?
That's the first spot that I saw. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's who got this first, and then I think like everybody else came in after and sort of aggregated this, but kind of quiet. Like I'm surprised I haven't seen any of the big boys talking about this. Not that Kedrick isn't like a big time media source. I just mean like I haven't seen like the national people all over this in a way I would expect because this is sizable news, certainly in our world, but I think this is sizable news at a national level too. Jeremiah Fears is a stud, a five-star kid, a Team USA guy who just wrapped up Team USA U17. We just had him on our NBA draft show. So let me just throw it to you quickly. What is your reaction to Jeremiah Fears? One, reclassifying, and then two, reopening his recruitment here.
So the reopening the recruitment part, I'm not too much surprised by that. Given the guards that are in the fold and the number of guards that Brad is actively recruiting, I'm sure Jeremiah felt a certain type of way just about, he's a player who I think has aspirations to be a one and done and have his ball and have the ball in his hands a lot. And since he's committed to Illinois, they've kind of done nothing but go after more guys that want the ball in their hands and more guards, in my opinion. Now, is that the sole reason on doing it? Who really knows? Well, Jeremiah himself is probably who would have to be the one to tell you that the reopening is not something that is shocking to me. Now, the reclassifying has me very, very shocked, given a couple of different reasons, which I'm sure you would like to speak on as well. First of all, the timing is crazy to me. Like practices have started. It's before the Peach Jam, which I'm sure he was looking forward to playing in. Um, and also, like, there's just not a lot of spots open right now. Like a lot of spots that I think cater to what he wants to do as a player right now. So it's just the reclassing is the one that kind of takes me by surprise, and I'm assuming it's the same for you as well.
Yeah, there's so much here to unpack, man. There really is. Couple, I guess, just quick things before I get too far into this. One, I have seen a lot of people tag us this afternoon and be like, y'all knew this when you made your video this morning. Cart will echo the reality here, which is we did not know that this was coming. Now, I think Cart and I have both been intending to speculate that there was some unhappiness here. And I think a lot of people have downplayed our ability of having intel to that until today. Now, this is not me trying to victory lap this because I'm bummed out straight up. I think Jeremiah Fears was going to crush it at Illinois. Y'all have heard me talk about how excited I am for that fit. I have compared him and Merez as a duo more favorably to Ayo Dosunmu and Kofi Cockburn. So that was my expectation. And quite frankly, regardless of who was in the Illinois backcourt a year from now, my belief was that Jeremiah Fears was going to be the best player. So I think this is a sizable loss. I didn't know this was coming, although if you listen back to our video from this morning, where we do talk about the logjam from an Illinois backcourt perspective, like this wasn't rocket science. Like Brad has gone out repeatedly and just kept trying to get new point guards. And I don't know if we were as pointed with this, but like, look, if I were Jeremiah Fears and I had committed to Illinois before Kylan Boswell and Kasparis Giakoušionis and Jasper Johnson were in the fold, I would be like, do these dudes not believe in me? So, and this is just the pain of this era. Like, you have to keep your players happy. You have to make them promises. You have to give them money. You have to give them roles. You have to be patient. You have to wait for them. Or at least you need to guarantee and, like, make them confident and comfortable that the role that isn't there right now will be there a year from now. But the reality is the actions haven't backed up whatever words the Underwood staff was telling the Fears family here, because Kylan Boswell thinks he's going to start at point guard next year. Kasparis Jagashonis is either a one and done or he's starting next year. And even if those two guys were in the fold, I mean, you'll notice Jeremiah didn't decommit when those two guys committed. He didn't quickly decommit. I think he wanted to go to Illinois, but now you're trying to bring in Jasper Johnson too? Like, that's stinky. And if I were Kylan Boswell, I wouldn't be happy about this. If I were Kasparis, I don't know how I would feel about this. So, like, there's a lot going on that makes no sense to me from Illinois' standpoint.
There is, but I think where this really started, I don't know if it was the Kylan thing. And this is not to say that Brad or the staff did this wrong at all, because like we said in the video, Kasparis has looked special, right? So like them having Kasparis in the fold for this year's team is massive. I strongly have a belief though that the commitment of Kasparis definitely, I think, started things in motion for Jeremiah. Like I think he started to take notice once that became a thing, because that's a guy that has multiple years. Like Kylan Boswell, okay, that's one guy, right? Not ideal, but it can happen. Now it's two guys, okay, and now I'm really starting to feel it. Then, like you said, going after the other guys, now it's like, okay, well, I think even if you don't feel this certain way about me, I think the actions speak a little differently.
Yeah. Now, look, the flip on this from an Illinois fan's perspective would be, well, it's a good thing we were recruiting all these dudes because Jeremiah wasn't very set in this. So, like, look, I don't know that there's a correct answer here, straight up. Like, this is college basketball in 2024. You are going to have to make promises to guys, or you are going to have to recruit players of a certain level. You're not going to land five-star kids that want to be a one and done if you can't make them sure they're going to be a one and done. And look, what I will say is this. I don't think Illinois should have been super surprised by this, because anyone who will listen to the Fears family and Jeremiah himself would know they all view Jeremiah as a one and done. Like, you were telling me this long before he even committed to Illinois. It's like, this family is very smart about things. They want Jeremy to go to a school where he can learn from a veteran point guard, he can develop, and then in year two be handed the keys. I mean, you told me this before Jeremy Fears even got to Michigan State. That's what he was looking for. And he's going to get it perfectly. Year two, oh, bye, AJ Hoggard. It's Jeremy Fears time now. That's what we told him. Like, Jeremiah from the jump, the whole thing has been, we want to go somewhere where he can get the ball quickly. We think he's a pro. He's good enough. He needs to be featured. So when Jeremiah committed to Illinois, it looked like a great decision, because you're going to be featured the same way they featured Terrence Shannon and Marcus Damask. And that's changed, right? It's like, I don't blame the Fears family for committing. I don't think this is like a Cannon Catchings Purdue situation where it was like, why did he ever commit there in the first place? I think it made sense for Jeremiah Fears to commit to Illinois when he did. It just also makes sense for Jeremiah to now reconsider things given where things have developed. And quite frankly, at some point, I'd like to hear from someone on the Illinois side about all this, because, like, Kasparis looks great, right? And Boswell, to me, is a guy you don't turn down if you can get him. The real one that hasn't made a lot of sense to me here, I know you're making a face, I'll let you speak to it. The weird one that doesn't make sense to me is, why were they after Jasper Johnson? Like, Boswell's going to be here in 2 years. If you want Jeremiah Fears on campus, why are you still trying to over-recruit a five-star point guard?
Maybe because what they saw from Boswell.
Okay. So we think that's an indicator of Boz and not that they knew Fears was coming, or?
I think so. And look, this also might be like, this is how Antigua does things. Like this is how that goes. Like they're gonna, like, he was on these guys. He's a big factor in Jasper Johnson. And look, there's a good amount of people too who would take Jasper Johnson over Jeremiah Fears. I mean, we've come on here and said that Jasper Johnson is one of our favorite guards in the class. We love both players, but like Jasper Johnson is also incredible. So if there's a kid who's willing to give, and I think Jasper Johnson's actually, like, he's really considering Illinois. I don't think this is just some dance he's doing. Like, there's a good chance that he could go there. And if you're Brad, you're not gonna not pursue a talent like that.
Yeah.
I think that's just how he approaches things. I think it's how he approached things before. I think with Coach Antigua in the fold, that's definitely how he's going to be approaching things.
I hear that, and I think you're right. I mean, we've said it repeatedly. It's insane to think you could juggle Boswell, Kasparis, DGL, Fears, and also another 5-star point guard. Like,
Yeah,
even the concept of them on a roster was ludicrous enough. The concept of even trying to like keep them all happy right now was crazy. That's absurd. You don't recruit that many guys to one spot. So to me, that does signal like either the staff knew something was coming or the staff knows something about how good or bad one of these current players are, or I don't know, or they just misplayed this massively and it cost them Jeremiah Fears, one of the two. With the cannon catching stuff, I keep comparing it to this because it really is. These happen back to back. It's pretty surprising. We kind of concluded at the end of it like, hey, you can't blame Cannon for the decision, even if it feels weird. Do you feel that way about this with Jeremiah?
no, I don't blame Jeremiah, to be honest with you. Um, just because like if this is how they're approaching it, and this is how they're going to recruit when they know they have you in the fold. I mean, I don't think that you can. I don't think, given what his goals are, his personal goals are going to align with how Illinois is approaching things.
Yeah. Okay. The only twist I have, because I completely agree with you, like what Jeremiah Fears committed to Illinois for is now not even available to him. Somebody else
Right.
would have the ball in their hands. So, like, okay, makes sense. Where I differ a little bit, and you know I feel this way in general and have felt this way for years. I hate guards that reclassify. I hate it. I think it rarely ever works. And you can pick out some examples that have worked, but let's talk about some that haven't. How about Kylan Boswell? How has that worked for him? It hasn't. Okay.
So you're speaking of this as far as Jeremiah, the reclass portion of this, not the effect on Illinois portion.
I don't understand why he's reclassifying. Period.
I do not either. I would actually love to understand more, and I'm actually hoping to get some more understanding of why. But the reclass thing just makes no the timing of it and the reclass just doesn't really make much sense to me, especially given, and I still don't know this for sure, and I probably should have coming into this. Like, does he have to play 2 years in college before he wants to be one and done anyway if he's a reclass because of age?
I don't know. I don't know.
The reclass just doesn't make much sense to me. Given the timing of it, and you know, like him personally too. Like he's an undersized guard.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like the only thing that would make sense about it, which may prove to be true, is like if he knew his destination and he's doing it because they need him to start at point guard and there's been a recruiting pitch, then maybe. But
If Colin Boswell was not in the fold for this team, I would be all for this.
me
I would be all
too.
for I'd be all for the reclass, all for everything. Is okay, Greg, you like to say this. I don't want to get going off on another tangent for this, this episode, what we want to focus on this one. But they got Kylan Boswell pretty early on in the process, right? Like very early on in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Could there have been maybe some more focus if this was even an option to go in on Jeremiah Fears reclassing instead of going all in on Boswell?
I just don't think that was ever in the cards.
Okay.
Not with Kylan on campus already, right? Like, what are you gonna do? Sorry, Kylan, you've been in the gym.
Oh, no, 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 no. I'm talking about like if in my at least okay. Once again, I'm guessing on this one. If he's willing to reclass now, reclass must have been on his mind early on. Like there was Jeremiah Fears reclass rumors earlier on, even after they got Kylan Boswell. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming that there was some thought put into that way before. So
Yeah.
like maybe instead of the focus on getting Kylan Boswell from the portal, you maybe try to get Jeremiah Fears on campus earlier.
Yeah. It's possible. My big pushback there, and I get like, look, you got to step back broadly and think about like what I'm saying right now, who we are, what we're trying to do, and who we interviewed last week. We interviewed Jeremiah and Jeremy Fears last week, okay? It's not like we want to come on here and slander this kid. And I know that like we're unbiased. What I'm about to say is clearly unbiased. I'm a little afraid to say it. I it's a horrible decision, man. It's a horrible decision because as good as I think he is, and as much scoring as he's done in EYBL, he's nowhere near physically ready here. Like, not at all. So, and I don't know where he's going to go. We can talk rumored destinations if you want, but like, man, you talk about dropping him in the SEC or dropping him in the Big East, and he's acting like, well, I need the ball, I need the ball, I need the ball, but I'm a 17-year-old kid that weighs 130 pounds. This isn't good. Like, this hasn't worked for guys who are already strong. Jeremiah Fears needs like a whole 2 years of weight help to get where he wants to go. And look, I love the Fears family. I could not be a bigger fan of Jeremiah Fears. I think they've handled everything pretty masterfully thus far. The reclass is the first thing that makes no sense because I do not think reclassifying and going to Oklahoma or Providence, or we can name other schools that are rumored right now, I don't see how that helps you become a lottery pick more than
Right.
more than playing the game and working your ass off and winning at Illinois would. I don't
Right.
see it at all. So
Yeah, that's the part I hate about it the most. To be honest,
yeah,
like I don't want to see him play for Porter Moser. Like
yeah.
I love Providence, but like I don't want to see him on this Providence team.
And if you like, look, if he had just reopened his recruitment and stayed in the 25 class, I would have been like, this makes so much sense. Like
Yeah,
it would be a completely different narrative for me. But the
right.
fact that he is reclassifying, just it's a twist that doesn't make any sense to me. Um, the last thing I'll add is, I mean, what's the latest we've heard publicly from Jeremiah lately? I mean, we joked about it in our interview, but like he was on Team USA, he barely played on Team USA. The family was loudly complaining about that.
Mm,
Basketball politics, right?
yeah,
So, like, I mean, it couldn't be more abundantly clear that they just want give him the ball and get out of the way here. But like, do you think any team in 2024 is going to be like way better off by doing this for a 17-year-old kid?
Unfortunately, the truth of the nature is, like you said, despite on what we feel about Jeremiah Fears as a player, at the current date that it is, there is not a team that comes to mind right now that is going to, give him everything that he needs, unless that team doesn't have any interest in like doing anything this season.
Yeah.
Like in a world where Doug McDaniel didn't commit to Kansas State, I'm sure Jerome Tang would have took him and let him do whatever he wanted and get the ball in his hands and rock.
Yeah. Which leads me, so tomorrow I think we'll do a different video that is like breaking down landing spots. We'll give this a night and see if there's any like real reports on where he wants to visit. I will say this, and you can tell me if you disagree. I believe he's serious about reopening his recruitment. I do not get the sense this is a done deal yet. Do you agree with me?
Yes, I agree.
I think this is going to be like, let's revisit some options. Now, the issue for Jeremiah and his family, and part of why I think this is so crazy, I don't think there's many schools who give a damn at this point about adding like a centerpiece to their team. Every coach in the country has already started practice. So like what the coach of wherever he goes must really not like what they're seeing in practice to like burn it all down and bring in a 17-year-old kid to be the centerpiece. Like it's
Yeah.
just crazy timing. But with that said, some rumored destinations quickly, and then I have to do it here. Oklahoma, Pertrilli is a rumored destination. There was some speculation online that maybe Jeremiah Fears is either at Providence or interested in going to Providence very quickly. I could see both Providence and Oklahoma making sense based on how their rosters are set up and opportunity. I got to do this, man. You're telling you're telling me.
I'm surprised it took you this long.
So you are telling me this kid's two wants are the ball in his hands and money? And
Mm.
you're telling me that the best option for him is Porter Moser, Oklahoma, and not a school who, by the way, is a 60-minute drive from where your brother plays and whiffed on all their big money targets over the last month, did try to add a point guard late and couldn't, has some budget for that. Like, I look, I'm talking about Michigan if you haven't figured this out yet. I let me be extremely clear. I don't think Michigan is where he will land, but if the best option truly right now is Oklahoma or Providence, I need someone to explain to me why that's a better fit for what Jeremiah Fears wants than a school that wants a starting point guard, has money to pay for one, and oh, by the way, is in the same state as where your family's already traveling to watch Jeremy. And oh, by the way, Jeremiah Fears has visited a ton. Michigan was on the short list when he committed to Illinois with Juwan Howard at coach. So am I crazy for thinking this is someone Michigan's got to call?
I don't think you're crazy for saying it, but like Oklahoma might have more money than y'all. 'Cause they got
Even if
that. They
so here's what I think is going to happen with the money side of this. And also, by the way, I don't think that's what the Fierce family's after. But
mm,
like, I think a money deal matters, but I don't think they're like, give me $1 million here. I think they just want the ball on a good situation.
you think Dusty's gonna give him the ball?
I mean, based on who they tried to bring in and what I was told the plan would be if they got Jameer Watkins or AJ Mitchell, remember? Like, those
Mm-hmm.
were the two names, right? Um,
Yeah.
the plan had been Trey Donaldson goes to the bench if you get those guys. And
See, but yeah, and I hear you there. But Dusty would say the same things I think we're saying. I'll give AJ Mitchell the ball. I'll give Jameer Watkins the ball. Am I going to give a 17-year-old undersized reclass guard the ball?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, the reality is Dusty May's whole MO as a coach has been giving his guards freedom. So it's hard for me to sit here and say he wouldn't do that to a McDonald's All-American, Cart. Like, did this, like, I understand it's probably a year early, and I think everyone in the country would want Jeremiah if he stayed in the class. But like, I mean, we have it on record that Michigan was trying to get a late ad backcourt star in a variety of ways and had the money for it, and they just whiffed. All of a sudden, this falls into your lap with a kid who's visited Ann Arbor multiple times in the last year. Like, I get it. It's not gonna happen. Everyone can tell me it's not gonna happen. I just had to do this, but like, I don't understand why it's not going to happen other than Dusty's decided the roster's final because it's a better situation than Oklahoma or Providence.
And y'all for sure have a roster spot open, huh?
You for sure have the 13th roster spot. You for sure would start over Trey Donaldson. We for
Okay. Well,
sure
no,
have X amount of dollars for you.
I need a segment tomorrow then.
All right, we'll do a
I need
segment
no,
tomorrow.
I mean I would need a segment on you cooking Dusty for leaving a roster spot open.
I mean,
It's
you've already
time.
heard me be mad.
It's time.
Speaking of roster spots, Michigan State would obviously be a rumored landing spot here to play with his brother, who now has an extra year of eligibility. If you had not signed Big Goof, as you call him, Simon Zapala, for the 13th
Mm-hmm.
spot, anytime you can get a center to play 4 minutes behind Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler, I guess you have to do that. Michigan State fans do like I see a lot of people thinking like Jeremy Fears is recruiting Jeremiah here. Do you want to squash that, or is there a world where Michigan State backdoors this somehow?
The only world that backdoors this is if it goes to hell at his next. No, not even if it goes to hell. He just does. He cooks at let's say Oklahoma. Doesn't like it there. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to come play with my brother. It wouldn't be. It wouldn't be for this season.
Okay.
That's our best case. There's not a world where we get him. With that said, I mean, could we make something happen? Like, could Ishbia use that money and do the painter thing over sign? Like, what? Why not?
Can't
It
Ishbia
won't
just give
happen
him a
though.
summer league spot? He's the same size as Tyson Walker right now.
That's crazy.
Is it not?
That's really crazy. I don't like where this is going in the video.
Okay. Yeah, no, even if Michigan State was going to make a play, they would need Akins to be gone, right? Because the whole thing is like ball. And Akins is supposed to be the featured guy. So I think
Yeah.
like a year from now, this would make more sense than it would now for Michigan State, which is why, like, by the way, that's true for every team here. Like even Oklahoma and Providence, it would make more sense to get Jeremiah Fears a year from now than it does now. But
Yeah, which brings us back to our other, this reclass is wild. That makes sense.
yeah.
I just don't
Are
get it.
there any other schools you want to throw in the mix? We'll do a deeper breakdown on potential landing spots tomorrow, like I said. But right now, my list would be Providence, Oklahoma. I guess you put Michigan State on there just because of like what the hell, but I don't think either are likely. Um, is there any other one?
Why do I feel like the Must Bus is going to get himself involved in this?
That feels too random. Feels too. I mean, it could. I was truly gonna float the BYU things. I feel like they're always ready. Kevin Young is always ready when the time comes, but I think they're full on scholarships already.
I really, the first thing I need to do is fire up Jim Root's sheet and see who has an open scholarship, and then I can work.
Yeah, don't fire up Jim Root's shoot, please. Don't
Damn
do
it.
that. So just to wrap for today's reaction, how should Illinois fans feel today, Cart?
I'm not gonna tell them how to feel. It's honestly, it seems to me like all of them are fine. They think everything's great. The only thing I'll say is that some of the discourse now, some of these people are acting like Jeremiah Fears wasn't good or something like that, or like now all of a sudden Jeremiah Fears is too small. He wasn't too small when he committed to Illinois. He wasn't too small when you were talking about that 2-year plan. You didn't care about his shot selection when he was, cooking an open gym with Kylan Boswell. So I say keep the same energy in that respect. But I mean, look, you get Jasper Johnson, I think you should feel fine. If you don't get Jasper or Jeremiah, I would care and not act like I don't care.
Got it. Okay. Bullet point summaries of my standpoint. Jeremiah Fears is still and always has been awesome at basketball. This is a big loss. Jeremiah Fears wants clearly do not map with what Illinois is putting together in their quote unquote 2-year plan. It ain't really a plan for Jeremiah if you're trying to bring in Jasper Johnson and you also have Jack Ashonis and Kylan Boswell in the fold. 3, Jeremiah Fears will prove to be better than all those guys except for Kasparis. So like this is a sizable loss. 4, the reclassification decision's insane. And this is a long-term detrimental thing to Jeremiah Fears' future. The family choosing to have him do this, I could not disagree with it more. I think this is the first decision they've done that is actively an obstacle to themselves. And 5, can we put some damn respect on our names? By the way, I mean we were told we were just rumor mongering 2 months ago, Cart, when before Kasparis had even committed, and we dared to say, how do you feel if you're a guard who's committed to Illinois and this is what your staff wants still? Like there are consequences to your actions, Cart. And I feel like that's what happened here.
or engagement, clicks, guys.
Just clicks, guys, no sources,
Just
right? No
click.
nothing.
Yeah, just clicks.
One day people will realize my goddamn body language PhD is worth any source in this industry. Okay. I can look at a picture and tell. I got on one Zoom call with this family and I knew what was going on. All right. We'll be back. We'll have some more breakdowns of potential landing spots for Jeremiah tomorrow. Sorry, Illinois fans. You can't win them all.